They've got two defenders. Hayward finds favors on the other side.
That sounded terrible. Let's restart that. That was brutal. Let's try that again.
Rebound, Gobert. And head pass to Hayward. They've got two defenders back. Hayward finds favors on the other side. He'll rise high. He'll take all the eggs and all the bacon on that one.
NBA 5 coming up your direction. We'll look at the play of the Houston, who we see on Saturday, plus some interesting stories about LeBron and some other broken promises to Andre Karolinko. Break down a little bit of the Jazz. Look at OKC's two offensive play sets. Talk about the Jazz secret weapon. And the play of Derek Favors needs more discussion. It's all coming up on today's edition of Tip-Off. Little sirens, Pearl Jam in the background, kind of a mellow, cool start to the morning. Hope that works for you. We're all having our, if you're just tuning in for the first time, this is Tip-Off. I'm David Locke, the radio voice of the Utah Jazz. We do this every morning. We open up with the NBA 5, which is 5 minutes on the NBA nationwide. And then if you're a diehard Jazz fan, you dig in and stay with us. And then one of the things we're trying to do, each plane flight, Ron Boone and I will watch the opposing team or the next team we're going to play. And I started to mark down certain plays that I think replicate their offense. And then we're going to look at them on the new NBA little ball mover thing, that very official ball mover thing, and allow you to try to see that. And then when you watch the game tonight on Root Sports with Craig and Ron, actually tonight, directed by Travis Henderson, produced by Joe Kruger, graphics by Scott Rogers. I live with these guys. I got to mention them. I got to give them shout-outs. But anyway, so when you're watching that tonight or you're listening to me, hopefully then you have an idea of what we're talking about. And if it's the exact play, then you're on the radio broadcast, I'll mention it to you that that's exactly what we're talking about. So this is just our kind of morning hangout. If you're new to it, welcome. Usually I have a little cup of coffee. Unfortunately, my cup of coffee is not now it's working. So at some point here, I'm going to have to get up and get my coffee, because if I don't have a cup of coffee, it's a problem. And I love it when I hear from people like, I understand that many of you don't drink coffee, so whatever your equivalent to coffee is. But I always love it when I hear people, yeah, I have my coffee with you every morning. I'm like, that's the whole idea. So give me one quick second before I hit the NBA 5. I need my coffee cup. And for those of you who are wondering, that's not good coffee. We'll go somewhere else later today to get a good coffee. Actually, as terrible as Oklahoma City is, I've actually found a decent coffee shop here that I really, really like. With that said, let's hit the NBA 5. All right, I went and ran some numbers last night on shot location stuff, and what Houston is doing, who we play on Saturday, is just stunning. I'm going to pull it up on the screen share for those of you who are on the video podcast today. And I probably should make it a little bit larger for you. But Houston is shooting 40.5% of their possessions as threes at this point. 40.5% of their possessions are threes. But then if we even dig into it a little bit more, look here. Houston's shooting 13.3% of their shots as corner threes. Next closest in the NBA looks to be, just on a quick gander, the Cavaliers at 9.9. No one's even close. They shoot 13% of their shots as corner threes. They shoot less mid-range jumpers. They shoot an incredible 10.7% of their shots as mid-range jumpers is all. I mean, it's absolutely unheard of. They have taken, and they're not, what's interesting about this is they're not a great offensive team, right? That's what really makes almost no sense anywhere in this, is that they're not this elite level offensive team, which is, strange for them to be playing it so well and to be taking all these shots and to figured out how to get these shots. The 13.3% of their corner threes is the James Harden factor. And it's interesting, I was sitting on the bus with Alex Jensen, who has that scout, and I was reading the Kirk Goldsberry piece about how James Harden has created more corner threes than any other player in the NBA. So not only is Harden one of the leading scorers in the NBA, but he's created more corner threes. He's fourth in the league in creating points off assists. Goldsberry's piece was really interesting. But look at this. This is 13.3. Next is the Cleveland 9.9, Clippers 9. and if you go all the way down, I mean, there's teams only take 4% of their shots as corner threes. We're right in the middle of the pack. I think we're 15th. We're actually exactly at 7%. That's right on the league average. And what's interesting about this is this is really a testament to, if you think about it, if you look at this list, this is players' systems, but also individual players create this. So this is James Harden and LeBron James and Chris Paul, because the corner three is really somebody has to create the corner three for you before it happens. Now the mid-range, what they're doing, this is insane. The Rockets are shooting 11%, 10.7% of their shots as mid-range shots. The next fewest is 18% from Philadelphia and 19% from Detroit. Again, we're right in the right mix of this. We've made huge strides. We're 12th in the NBA. But if you look, these are pretty good offenses other than Philadelphia. Detroit's turning it around a little bit. These are pretty good teams that don't take the mid-range jumpers. If you go look at who does take the mid-range jumpers, it's pretty bad teams. It's the Knicks. The Wizards are surprised. The Lakers, the Timberwolves, the Hornets, the Pacers. Clippers are a little bit surprising. That's Blake's obsession with the mid-range. So some interesting stuff there, I thought, last night when I was looking at it. A few other notes, and I don't need to graphically bore you to death with it, but I can show you a few other kind of items in there that are good signs for the Jazz. Specifically, one is we are taking the fourth, I think it is, most amount. Where is it? Where's my note? Oh, it's on my game notes because I'm going to use it tonight. We are shooting 65% in the restricted area, which is the fourth best in the NBA. We're taking the fifth most amount of shots in the restricted area. We are taking a decent amount of corner threes we're not making. We're the fifth worst corner three shooting team in the NBA. So OKC, by the way, is the second best in the NBA in defending the restricted area, and the number one team in the mid-range non-paint. Mid-range paint defending. So they defend in the paint better than any team in the NBA, which will be an interesting kind of matchup tonight for the Jazz because that's so much where we get our stuff. A few other notes in the NBA 5 tonight for you, or today for you. Interesting story. LeBron James went to Miami to go rehab his back because it's warmer weather, and he's going on the West Coast road trip because the weather's warmer. Okay, I've never heard this before. Because last time I checked, most places you're inside, it's the same temperature. I didn't envision that LeBron was sitting out on the street corner all day long in Cleveland and his back was getting tight. This story just does not vibe to me. Seems really strange. Weirder story coming out of Philadelphia that supposedly Sam Hinkie, the general manager there, promised Andre Karolinko that he would release him. Then he hasn't done it. And I guess AK wants to play, but he doesn't want to play for Philadelphia. And Hinkie, it was kind of agreed upon in the trade that he would do this, and now he's backed out on it, so he can move Karolinko at the trade deadline. I don't know if it's a big deal or not. The only thing is that people have got Hinkie's a numbers nerd, and people have got to believe that they can get along with him and that he's doing what they say. Nate Wolters was released by Milwaukee. He worked out for the Jazz as a part of 2 years ago's draft. He was a second-round draft pick. He's out of South Dakota State. He's, he's 6'4" point guard, which I think was the appeal on him. He's not a great athletic player. He was a great player at, was it South Dakota or North Dakota? I think it was South Dakota State. He kind of fits into this mold of, he averaged 22 points a game at South Dakota State. He had an exciting NCAA tournament game. He turned out to be a mid-second round draft pick. He actually started 22 games last year for Milwaukee, or maybe it was more than that, 31 games for a terrible Milwaukee team. But I don't think there's anything there, but it's worth just keeping an eye on. He got released. I don't know. Someone will pick him up. He'll bounce around a little bit, but he's not a first-round draft pick guy for a reason on a not very good draft. So, it's not a big news. I don't think we're going to act on it, but it's worth keeping an eye on. We're going to be a D-League active, though. That's clear that's part of our DNA now, and I love it. I love picking up these young guys because they play so hard. You know, I mean, Elijah Millsap comes out there and he gets into Derrick Rose. He doesn't care who Derrick Rose is. He wants to eat. And I love that. And I think there's a great strength there. If your head coach can handle having these guys coming in and out all the time, I think it's a wonderful system for the Jazz. All right, that is your NBA 5. Remember to call 801-237-38. That's 801-237-3738. In fact, tonight we're going to do something special. I'm going to open up that phone line now and during the game at 801-237-38 tonight and Saturday, because I'm flying solo. I'm going to see if we can take questions live during the game via the voicemail. So that's 801-237-38. Write that number down. Something happens in the game. You have a question about the game. You have a question about the team, and you want it asked during the game. We're going to try to take those live. Live. Okay, so you'll record it. I'll hear it. Make sure that it's clean and decent. And then, like Jeremy Castro, vice president, broadcasting is probably like back in Salt Lake listening to this. Not that I don't think he's ever listened to this. If he has, hi, Jeremy. And he'll be like, he'll be like, crying. Oh my gosh, I just realized I got to do DJ and PK, and I got more stuff to do. I screwed up my day. What am I going to do? I got to do DJ and PK. All right, so quickly, Derek Favors has been unbelievable. 20 and 10 both the last two games. He is playing out of his head. And I think we got to talk about it. The Jazz have been positive on the floor for 9 of the last 11 games he's been on the floor. His plus-minus is through the roof. He's just doing everything really, really well. When he's on the floor, our offense is at 108.1 and our defense is 100.3 over the last 10 games or 11 games. We're 7-4 in that stretch. But really, that's the obviously we talk a lot about with Hayward on the floor. It's a bigger difference. Our offense is 110 when Hayward's on the floor and a 91 when he's off. I mean, it's just tragic. But that's it. Ah, man, I totally screwed up in the middle of tip-off. How many minutes do I have till we're on? Yeah, give me I'll just keep us on hold and then so like 8:03 is when the segment starts. All right, that's good. Let me just finish this up. Sounds good. All right, we're probably not going to get to the OKC play calls because I screwed this up. I wanted to get this out today because I just thought about it the other day. I watched Favors and how good he is recently. I watched Hayward how good he is. You know what that is? That's a 3-4 year progression of strength and conditioning by these guys, and it's all under the direction of Mark McCowan. And I really think he's the Jazz secret weapon. He does amazing work as the strength and conditioning coach of the Utah Jazz. You look at how Hayward's grown. You look at how Favors has grown. Rudy Gobert, so much better from a year later. This is what I think gives me great hope about Dante Exum, is that these programs the Jazz have, and Mark's a guy who he's an old-fashioned, I guess we'd say, guy who's evolved into, he found P3. I mean, he's old-fashioned's the wrong word. Old school's the wrong word. I mean, he just had the job a long time ago, right? So he was out of that ilk. And then he's evolved into, he found P3 for the Jazz. He's very innovative now. There's some things we're doing well. I don't want to jinx us on. Like if you just kind of look at where the injuries are and what they are and what they're not, we've been good in that regard. And you watch these programs work year to year to year, and the growth, the physical growth of these players is so tremendous. He just does a great, great job on that. All right, finally, I wanted to get one play set to you for OKC today. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that because I've got to go do the interview, and I screwed up. I forgot it was a Friday. I don't even know what day of the week it is. So it's totally my fault. Let me see what Jake says. Jake, you want me now? Jake, do you want me now? Jake's not there anymore. They're not there anymore. Oh, he's going to have to call me back. All right, then maybe I'll try to sneak this in. The frantic rush of a screwed-up show. All right, here's one. This is actually going to be a turnover, but you can't tell that. So let me screen share it with you quickly. We're really jamming. Maybe I should do the show at this crazy pace every day, and then it'll be shorter, and people would like it more. All right, so here is the X's and O's. This is OKC, and this is their basic set that you'll see more often than not tonight. Inbound comes to Collison. All right, I'll be ready in 10 seconds. Westbrook has it up top. Collison will now run underneath the ball. So there's your first pick, and Westbrook can explode to the basket. You've got a Baca down low. You've got a spot-up shooter on the left. Instead, they'll swing to Collison, will get to the elbow for a handoff to Durant, And now Durant comes off that, either gets the ball, pops out for a jumper if you go under it. He comes around the curl as they do here. Ibaka's waiting. Westbrook's up top. And in this case, they tried to flip it back to the open side to Collison, and he dropped it. But that right there is the basic play set that's run most often at one time by Oklahoma City. And I'll let you run through it one more time. I'm going to go do DJ and PK. Apologize, I screwed up my timing and forgot about things today. Got my time zones mixed up, or what time I was doing things, and it's my fault. And there's that final play. I will talk to you soon. Thanks so much for tuning in to Tip Off. Have a great one.